Well. Here we go, Rick.
Jace.
We're normally in the same room, but we've decided to mix it up today. We've got a bit of production value around, as you can see today.
We do.
But we are doing one of our reviews, Rick, are we not? And remember, these reviews are done mere moments after seeing this at the cinema.
And it's a spoiler review as well.
Oh, yeah.
Guys, keep that in mind.
Spoilery as fuck. We are not holding back.
You've been warned.
You've been warned. And then what are you doing watching a review on a movie you haven't seen yet? Go and see this.
This is right.
And I'm pretty sure you have, based on the numbers, Rick.
Oh,
like it's still, I think it smashed Avengers record for a Friday.
Yeah, over 8 million or something. 800 million. It was just crazy.
It's just currently it actually sits at $169 million.
There you go.
And we're talking on a Sunday, so 2 days after the Friday. But the whole budget for the film was $225 million. They'll get that before the end of the week, before the end of the weekend. Because remember, it's Sunday here for us in Australia, but in America, it's still Saturday night, man. Like, people are still going into this film by droves. Rick, will they be disappointed by going in and seeing this movie in the opening weekend?
Hell no. I wasn't disappointed, and I know you weren't disappointed, and that's why we're here to talk about
it.
Look, man, for me, Jace, I just feel like this movie was exactly what the franchise needed. It was a genuinely fresh start for Spidey. You know, after we had that emotional ending of No Way Home, we had Peter Parker. He's completely on his own, and this film leans really into that, with that loneliness in that way that makes this version of Spider-Man probably a little bit more relatable and more grounded than ever, I felt. And Tom Holland just delivers what I believe is one of his strongest performances as Spidey. He's just more mature. It was more emotionally vulnerable in this movie as well. And it just captured on the screen. And he still had that humor and heart to it, but man, it's just so good. You know?
Yeah. Look, I agree mostly with what you're saying there, for sure. I think it definitely is Tom Holland's probably best performance as Peter Parker / Spider-Man. I mean, he has to carry a lot on his shoulders as a character and as the lead actor of this film as well.
Yeah.
And he does it with ease. This film, it's the emotional depth of this film is quite surprising because, you know, if you don't get that right, Rick, if you don't handle emotions in a film, it could drag a film down. But I never felt this film was dragged down with some of the heavy themes they're dealing with. And they're dealing with loss. They're dealing with a bunch of stuff. So, I mean, this film was pretty damn phenomenal, if I was to be really honest with you. This is, but for me, the best Spider-Man movie that Tom Holland's been in.
Yeah.
If not for the entire history.
100%.
And that's a high bar because No Way Home is almost like pretty peak Spider-Man. I mean, like, as a fan, can you ask for any more than having those three Spider-Men together in that film?
Yeah.
But no, they managed to do something really cool here. Now, some of the cool things, Rick, let's go over some of the cool things. One of them was the worst kept secret in Hollywood was who Sadie Sink was playing in this movie.
Yes.
And it's confirmed. She is who you think she is.
She's Jean Grey.
She's Jean Grey. And it's interesting because that was an origin of a story I'd never seen on film. That was certainly a different approach that we had previously seen on Jean Grey's origin. Because the last time we saw Jean Grey as a kid, that was X-Men 3. Remember that?
Yeah.
At the house. And Professor X
and Charles are in there, both
Professor
in there.
X, that's right.
Yeah.
But they never not mentioned about the whole sister thing.
No.
And I like that they approach it like her parents basically abandoned the two sisters, abandoned them, and they were kind of together. And I love the film spends all that time talking about what's VMAX.
Yeah.
And
How good was that?
sticker
It was
of
the
the
last thing.
location, the last place, that she
Her
was
sister
seen,
saw.
was alive. Yeah, was
Yeah.
alive. The sister. So look, there's a lot to go through this. Okay, let's talk about the big team matchup, which I am shocked he was in it so much, but delighted and thrilled at the same time. Dude, we got a lot of Punisher in this movie.
It was so good to see, and obviously it carries on from the special, the Punisher special. But he was every scene that he's in, he just takes it to that next level, and it's just so exciting to see him. And his chemistry with Tom Holland was just perfect. I just, and that massive fight scene. Oh, I mean, we'll get into it, but yeah,
which was like, and look, all the action in this movie is top class. Like, there is a lot of things that work in this film in regards to effects. Some of the more stunning things, I think, is how much New York is a character in this movie. I feel like we really get to see New York, like all the buildings and the geography and how they use it. And all the swinging scenes through the streets, which we know because everybody got spoiled in behind the scenes stuff from last year. They did a lot practically of Spider-Man swinging down the street.
Yeah.
And you can tell at times when it's like, oh shit, that's real. Like, the effects in this were great. All right, another character, Rick, I want you to talk about another character team up in this movie. That I know you were delighted by.
I was just delighted to see Banner back and the Hulk. Like, he was just so good to see him, and that massive fight scene with the Punisher and the Hulk and Spidey. When are we ever going to see that on the big screen? Like, it just brought me joy to see him just lose his Brahimata and then just grow back into the Hulk, and then the Hulk just takes over. And this is what the fans wanted to see, right?
Well, we got two versions.
We did
two versions of the Hulk. We got Smart Hulk, like that we knew from a Endgame
when he first came out,
and we hadn't seen this one in a while, probably since Ultron, where the uncontrollable animalistic rage Hulk.
The Savage just comes out and he grows. He's a lot bigger.
And he's a lot bigger. Amazing.
Yeah.
All that is a comic book gift. You know what I mean? It's all the things you'd hope one day you would get out of one of those movies, and you get it in this movie, which I think is just wonderfully done. I think also just having the hand.
Yep.
In this
I didn't
movie,
see that.
It was very deep cuts. You know what I mean? I mean, like, and do I like the fact there wasn't a big bad villain in it? The big bad villain was the organization. Yeah, I'm good with that. I love the way they handled it, because I think damage control was something that should live on throughout the series of movies. And I like the fact that they existed in this and they were used for a lot of the plot.
Yeah.
I like very, very much. Zendaya and Jake Battleston. Was it Battleston? Battlon.
Ned.
They're amazing as MJ.
Yeah.
And Ned.
Yeah.
They really are. And I tell you what, Zendaya, I don't want to fangirl out over her, but she's just something amazing on screen. She's an incredible actress if you watch her across her performances. And she has a real hard kind of challenge as a role. What an interesting kind of performance to have to make, where she has to pretend not to know him, but to know him. And there's a lot going on with her. Yeah, and I thought she was absolutely wonderful in her, and of course Ned is fantastic. What more can I say about this movie except everything I saw on screen? Yeah, made me feel like I was safe and I was in the middle of a Steve Ditko comic book. I really felt like,
and that's what, you know. And I think what made this movie was actually like the return to the street level story. You know what I mean?
Okay.
We weren't relying on some multiverse spectacular or anything like that. They were focused back on, you know, New York and everyday people. And I think that's what really worked for this.
I do agree.
movie.
I 100% agree.
Mm.
I think they also didn't ignore the MCU as a greater thing.
Yeah,
because
correct.
we got all those characters. They just didn't make it the thing.
No,
because they didn't make it the main thing. It's just, they live in a world. Spidey lives in a world where he knows a lot of superheroes. So, of course, he's going to cross paths with them over like the movies.
But,
but the fact it's grounded is awesome.
We saw a lot of little cameos there, which was good. We saw
Yelena,
she came in. I like, Scorpion, we saw obviously a bit more of him. Tombstone was great. We only saw a little bit of him, but I want to see more of that character.
Well, that's where all the comic book covers came to life, and in that montage in the beginning,
it was so good.
We see it's just well done, And I think the idea of having Jean Grey being the villain for most of this film was an interesting choice because Jean Grey is a character who, at the best of times, you still have to keep an eye on her.
Yeah.
I mean, Professor X is a big kind of like proponent of Jean Grey traditionally and looks after her, but he knows more than anyone else how dangerous she is. And through iterations on the animated series or whether you've read it in comics, we know the damage that she can do. So once we know it's Jean Grey, as an audience, we're already built in to go, we've got to keep an eye on this one because traditionally, the versions we've had of Jean Grey all end up being Phoenix.
Yeah. What do you think of Sadie Sink being cast as Jean Grey?
She's a good fit.
Yes, I like her.
There's been a lot. The casting is happening right now for X-Men as the group. We got to see Samantha Weaver being cast as Emma Frost. That was official made 2 days ago. Samantha Weaver happens to be the niece of Hugo Weaving.
Wow. Okay. There you go. Keep it in there.
She's landed the role of Emma Frost. And some of the names they're banding around to that is great young actors. So, I like their casting. I like they keep them quite young. I think that's the way to kind of do this with this new version of X-Men, that the guy that directed Thunderbolts that's his next assignment.
Yeah.
And while we're talking about filmmakers, let's hand it out to the director of this film, who is proving himself to be, a big hitter now in Hollywood, and that's Destin Daniel Cretton, who has done 3 assignments for Marvel and has knocked it out of the park every single one. Can you name them, Rick?
No.
Shang-Chi, he directed that.
Oh, did he do Shang-Chi? Okay.
Yeah, it's got a Rotten Tomatoes. I think it's like 92%.
I enjoyed that movie, actually. A lot of people,
it was definitely the best in Phase 4. His second was Wonder Man, which recently got some shocking news saying that season 2 its show's been cancelled because, again, on IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes, and that was in the 90%. I love the show too, and now he's done this. Like, he is just knows what to do in this genre. So, big thanks to him because there is so many ingredients in this film, and if you weren't managing it correctly, it could have just become a mess.
Yeah.
But they don't. They definitely don't. All right, let's talk about the story a little bit, Rick, in the sense of Peter is going through changes.
He is.
Like his physical change. Him beginning organic web shooters. How did you feel about him turning more into the Tobey Maguire type of Spider-Man?
I like that side of things, because he's dealing with the other side of he's dealing with Peter Parker and losing his friends and MJ, and he's struggling with all that, and now he's got this in the mix, and he's a lot more stronger and vulnerable when he's in that state, and you can see that towards the end when he's having that scene with Jean Grey, and he has to have that decision of, am I Peter Parker or am I Spider-Man? I loved it. I thought it was great. And how he dealt with that whole, building that perimeter and he wanted to make a universal one, which was dangerous, and that whole storyline as well.
And that's what was great about it, I think, too. he was thinking very inwardly, I've got to be
Hmm.
able to control these changes. I can't control what's happening. And I'm afraid, but that inhibitor, like the consequences of such a device and what they kind of deal with is, well,
Hmm.
basically that would suppress all mutants, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Which is kind of what we're dancing around as well. And that's where it reminds you of X-Men, when this whole idea of he's created something to stop your X-Men powers in a way, right? We've seen that in previous iterations of X-Men on the screen. So yeah, I think it was awesome to see him do the change and him in a way have to start again. I think some of the funnier moments were him learning to swing again with the organic webs, which is pretty funny. But then at the end, when he does make that choice where he says, I'm both, what he can do, like that spin, there's a shot where he puts his wrists together and does a spinning thing.
When he's coming down and then just gets everyone,
catches all the hands, all the hand, and like,
yeah.
And the effects and the stuff on this movie is just
so. The thing that got me, and I don't know, I could have missed something. I'm not sure, but when Frank shoots him, right? How come he didn't like? If he was in that state, surely the bullet wouldn't have gone through and affected him.
Well, I don't think there was any risk of dying.
Yeah.
I didn't think he was. I was surprised when Frank said afterwards, oh, Jean Grey was here using a
to
keep you alive.
To help. Yeah.
Yeah. Because my thing, he heals fast, right? That's part
that's but
part of man.
That's what kind of
he heals. Yeah. But
that hospital scene's great.
Yeah, it's really, and there's a lot of really nice moments in the film.
Yeah.
Like and they do, it's just such a film is, what can you do with Spider-Man these days? We've had him in six Marvel movies at this point. He'd appeared 6 times, from Civil War to his first film to Avengers Endgame, and then we had the 2 other films, Far From Home and No Way Home. Yeah, he's been in 6 films, right?
So
now it's 7. He's been in. Like, how do you keep Spider-Man fresh and enjoyable and all that? And they were just so smart to go back, to go, let's do street level Spider-Man. Right, let's deal with the consequences of his choices at the end of the last film. Let's do that as well. And that's great. I thought that was so well handled. No, they've knocked it out of the park. This movie has come out at a time when Marvel really needed this movie to work.
Yeah.
And they've got they've bona fide massive hit here.
Oh, boy, is to get people back in the cinemas.
Last year was a little bit sketchy. A little bit sketchy, right? Some of the films, even though I think 2 of the 3 films last year were great, and that being Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four. I like both those movies quite a lot. Maybe not Captain America, Brave New World.
No, I liked it.
That year. Yeah, it was okay. Yeah. Especially those 2 are much alike, but they were financial bombs to have this film being a massive. Yeah, and it'll do well for Doomsday. It'll put us in the right space for Doomsday. And I suppose, because if you're watching spoilers, you've already waited to the end. I hope you did. Because it's a tiny, cute little way of actually answering the question is, where the fuck is Spider-Man in Doomsday? That's the question. Like, where is he? And at the end, with that little graphic, I think he's on Battle World.
Yeah. So to put in context, people don't know, it's throughout the movie, Ned creates this app which tracks Spidey, and at the end of the movie, all you see is a shot of this app, and then you just see it. He's going off the Earth, off the moon, and then he's just in space.
Spidey has been located in the middle of space.
What does it mean?
The theory is, where is he? Well, I do know what I think it means. I think if we are doing Doomsday and we're doing Secret Wars, well, the mechanism is built in at some point. Secret Wars takes place on a planet called Battle World.
Yeah.
A place that's created.
Yeah.
Now, my theory is at the end of Doomsday, once everyone's dead, Dr. Doom is going to do what Dr. Doom would do, create Battle World and put everybody on Battle World.
And then it's on.
Because the thing is, we don't know when this is taking place.
No.
Like we're watching this movie taking place then, but it could be happening at the exact same time where shit's going down on other planets.
Yeah.
The Doomsday. We don't know that, but that's my guess. That's
So
my theory anyway.
It strongly hints that, Peter Parker is pulled into that, either the events of Doomsday or Secret Wars. But the other possibility...
We don't have Spidey. Yeah, go on. No, go with yours.
Well, the other possibility, the tracker is picked up another Spidey, either another like a variant, you know?
Yeah. It could be
Tobey Maguire,
Tobey
Garfield
version, or Garfield
Miles. Yeah.
Yeah,
there are other versions. There's other variants of Spider-Man.
Nicolas Cage from Spider-Noir.
Mate, it could be. Who knows?
But I do think it's him, being moved out. Yeah. Because the thing is, remember, he's not in Doomsday. We've got no Hulk in Doomsday. We know Punisher is in Doomsday. So where are these characters? Captain Marvel isn't in Doomsday. We know that. So they've got to kind of explain why they're missing in some ways.
It's strongly hinting to it. I think you're right, Jace. I think it's
I think it's this is all mapping out the fact that we'll see Spider-Man next year in Secret Wars.
Yeah.
Remember, it's next year, Secret Wars.
Yeah, not far.
Only 12 months away from Doomsday. So that's what's. I do love the fact that it is that same setup as they did with Infinity War and Endgame, where they brought them out a year from each other, which I always thought was super smart strategy. So this film is going to make. Okay, let's do a prediction. I think this is a $1.4 billion film. All said and done, $1.4 billion film.
1.4. I reckon it'll be just. I reckon globally everything all done. I reckon it'd be just shy of $2 billion.
There you go.
I reckon.
Yeah, look. I always like to let time kind of give me the real answer to this, but as we speak right now, this is the single best Spider-Man film I've seen.
Yeah.
So my rating's like 9.5 out of 10.
Well, yeah, I agree. 100%.
Because it's almost the perfect superhero film in so many ways. And certainly is going to keep everybody happy who goes to sees it. And it's also malleable for the audience to, if you're into comic books, there's so much for you.
Yes.
If you're not so much, it doesn't matter. You're still going to know recognizable heroes. You're going to notice the Hulk. You're going to notice this. And so it's good for the entry-level viewers as well. Or people who just watch these films casually. There's just a lot there for everybody.
Is this aimed for younger kids as well? I didn't see too many young kids in this cinema when we were in there this morning, but
no, there wasn't super a lot. But
you know what I mean? That the younger generation,
it's going to have your scary moments, but why not?
Yeah,
why not? What gore is there in this film?
No, but
there's not a lot of gore. I mean, we see Spider-Man get shot, we don't even see the wound. No,
you just see the blood coming out the back.
On his hands, and a little bit of blood stain on his back. So, they keep it. They're smart. They make sure the kiddies are going to have. And man, if you were a kid, you'd be loving this film, surely.
Yeah. Who doesn't love Spider-Man? He's just
Spider-Man and Hulk and Punisher. Like these guys all together, they're very iconic and very.
They've just covered everyone's age group.
John Berthel's Punisher, whether you've seen him on the TV show or not, he's recognized. He's the Punisher.
Yeah.
So this is top class, mate. This was an awesome experience at the cinema. I understand why the tickets were so dang hard.
You were saying it was hard, like worldwide, even to.
I don't know. It was just the rest of the day here in Adelaide. You couldn't get tickets. I mean, a friend of ours is in New York. Ended up having to sit on the front row, the only place he could get tickets. Though I will say, why in the hell didn't you just pre-book them?
Yeah.
Like anybody else would? I don't know.
Rookie mistake.
But he did have to sit at the front. Yeah, rookie mistake.
Amateur hour, yeah.
The film is phenomenal. It's a great experience. I recommend people go see it. I think it's going to be one of those films where those inclined will go back for repeat watchings as well, Rick, I think.
Yeah.
I will definitely keep going back and checking this out. Yeah.
There's a lot going on,
Great
and there's probably things that you'd miss, and that's the whole point in going to go see it again. So,
yeah, you know what?
go see it again.
I look at probably my 3 favorite films of the summer, because this is pretty well at the end of the summer over there, were Project Hail Mary.
Yep. And
which I loved.
How good is that casting as well, by the way? So
yeah, that was amazing. And then I loved Master of the Universe.
yes.
And then my third one I loved that year was Mando and Grogu.
Yep.
This movie just pips out Project Hail Mary for being the best.
Okay. Yep.
The best film of the summer, basically, I'm saying.
Yep.
And I have a strong bias towards Masters. But this is a superior film. This is just a great movie nonetheless. So yeah.
Go see it.
There you go.
Go spend your money and go see it. Check it out because it is worth it.
And
100%.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have to tell you though. You've already seen that. That's why you're here to discuss it. My question is how many times you think you're going to go back? Will you go back? That's more the question for the audience. Will you go back and see this? Or do you wait for it to hit streaming just before Christmas? Because I assume that's when this thing will be out for everybody to stream. Yeah, let us know in the comments, Rick.
Guys, yeah, that's it. Drop us a comment down below. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Helps with the algorithm and all that. And yeah, appreciate you joining us on our Spider-Man review.
Yeah,
I guess we'll catch you all on the next one.
Yeah, we'll catch you on the next one, guys. Thanks for watching.
See ya.